Welcome to our intro of Littledata's Klaviyo integration. I'm here to explain what Littledata does, why you need it, and how it works and how you'd see the results in Klaviyo. So let's start here within the Klaviyo app itself. This is Littledata's test account and the integrations directory. So this is where you might discover Littledata integration. We're official OAuth partner, which means that you can add the app directly from Klaviyo. And the features really, as it says here, are about retargeting abandoned carts, improving identity resolution, and helping build smarter campaigns. So let's go and take a step back and understand what Littledata is doing. So this is our help center. We have lots of information about all our connections, and Klaviyo is listed here. So let's just take a look at the overview first of all. And let's just look at the kind of comparison between Littledata, the Klaviyo standard Shopify integration or the Shopify app embed and other solutions. So ultimately what Littledata is doing is helping to automate tracking of added to cart, checkout started, and browsing events, product viewed, so that you can build bigger audiences and trigger more effective flows within Klaviyo. All of the tracking happens automatically. There's no scripts the store would have to add their storefront. We add that through the Shopify app. So we'll come on to installation a bit, but they have to add our Shopify app. Now, what does it do? So first of all, it's completely GDPR and CCPA compliant. We integrate with Shopify's consent mode and make sure that if the user's opting out of being tracked, we respect that. We're using fully opt-in email list, so we're not adding anyone to the list. We're not helping you grow the email list on Klaviyo. What we're doing is helping identify people who are already on the list for targeting. Now, the difference between Klaviyo and Littledata tracking is that we do server-side identity resolution and server-side event tracking. And that means it's more robust, it's immune to ad blockers and other limitations of iOS and Safari browsers. And it means that we can ultimately just track more add to cart and viewed product, which are within Klaviyo's app embed tracked client side. And finally, we can do more identified checkout started events because we track the first step of the checkout, where Klaviyo's app embed is tracking effectively the second step of the checkout after they've entered the email. So it's more powerful than other solutions, but it's also importantly privacy compliant. We'll come on to kind of how do you connect. So ultimately, if you're already a customer of Littledata, you can do this from within Littledata's app. Assuming you're not, you want to do this, you can install on the Shopify App Store. We have one app, Littledata Revenue Tracking, which works for all of the destinations we support, including Klaviyo. Or as we covered before, we can start from within Klaviyo itself, from integration here, and manage the app. Now, what we do is let's say we want to go through and log in to the app. Right, so you'll see we've already connected Klaviyo here, and we can just check that the events are processing. We can see that we're tracking 3 different events, added to cart, removed from cart, viewed product, and soon to come will be the checkout started event. You can configure to send all or none of these within the setup. And if you've done a manual API key, which we had in this case, but use OAuth, you can configure it here. So that's really all that's within Littledata's app, is just the configuration settings. So how would you then go and use this? Well, first of all, if we go back to the Klaviyo account here, we go to metrics, and we just see that this add to cart is tracking. And obviously this is a test store, so we don't have many, but we can see that it has worked. Now, how do we use in the flows? So we're assuming that most of the brands will have an abandoned cart or abandoned checkout flow already. And this is a typical one that's actually called abandoned cart, but is triggered based on the checkout started event, because that's the standard one that's included within Klaviyo. Of the test stores we have, most stores do not in fact have add to cart tracking. So what we're going to do, rather than just change this flow, is we want to clone it and add the trigger for the new flow. So you can see here's one I made earlier. We've cloned this flow. What we've done, so I keep switching the video, is to change the trigger so that it's based on added cart little data, branded event sent from little data. Exactly the same flow, because we've made sure that the event schema, we'll come onto this a bit, matches exactly the added cart event sent through Klaviyo, and also matches the checkout started event. So whether they've used a flow based on either of those two triggers, Little Data is completely backwards compatible. It'll just work out the box with all the same splits and templates that use those current triggers. And then, because we've cloned it, when we go back to the reporting, we can see very clearly the conversions are coming through one versus the other, and we can see the incremental effect that Little Data is adding. And as I said, that's typically doubling the audience size for an added to cart flow. First of all, we have a guide to just that. If we go back to the list, you can see we have a guide to how to set up the Klaviyo flows using Little Data triggers, and adding those triggers to the flow, cloning the flow, and adding a filter to make sure, importantly, that the user is not getting two duplicated flows. So that's all automated and documented here. If we want to dig in a bit more how it works for those more technical users, it gives us a little guide to kind of, we do browser tracking. We have to pick up cookie identifiers from the storefront to the identity resolution, and we also do server-side tracking. So that's enabling us to persist the identity and track the actual events direct from Shopify. There's a list of what you can track, and importantly here, there's a whole list of all of the rich data schema that we have, showing all of the exact event properties that we can use in emails. So one of the important points here is Little Data is not only increasing the quantity of the events fired, or the quantity of the audience that you can target in Klaviyo, it's also improving the quality of those events so that you have a richer event schema that you can target, for example, with things like product properties or variants of those products. And if you want to go even deeper, we have a full event schema here where you can actually look at, for every event in the flow, an actual breakdown. Sorry, make myself a bit smaller. An actual breakdown of exactly all the product properties that are there. So that is our full schema. So to go back to a summary, let's go back to the Help Center and under Klaviyo overview. So what we're doing is improving upon the tracking and event capture that Klaviyo is already doing for Shopify. It's completely backwards compatible with all the flows that are currently in Klaviyo. It's super easy to install. It takes about 5 minutes just to go through the flow and approve the connection with Klaviyo and Shopify. Then they can use it to improve the abandoned cart flows in Klaviyo. They can use it to improve the browser abandonment flows in Klaviyo. It's privacy compliant. We're not using any third-party email lists or non-opted-in emails. And it works. We've had customers on our private beta getting pretty insane results. If we go and have a look at our public landing page, you can see here, as well as the recap, some of the kind of results we're seeing. So, we've got brands seeing, over 100% boost in their added cart audience size through retargeting, and in some cases quite extremely high, all depending on how they set up the email campaigns. I hope that helps you answer any questions you have. If you have more questions, as I said, look at our help center, help.littledata.io, or reach out on the channels on our website. Thanks very much for listening.